I'm Joe Fryer.
Yes, thanks for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Well, this morning, California is bracing for flooding again as another wet winter storm slams the Golden State. Preparations for the storm got underway this weekend, with parts of Southern California expecting several inches of rain today.
Some places were placed under an evacuation warning Sunday, with flood alerts in effect for millions in the already waterlogged region. Farther north, you can see flooded streets in Sacramento. Strong to severe storms are possible in central and northern California. And in the mountains, instead of inches of rain, they could see feet of snow.
For more on the weather hitting the West Coast, let's get a check on your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is here. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, guys. And it seems like week after week, we continue to see this atmospheric river. Another one moving on shore. We're seeing really heavy rain falling right now. We could see rainfall rates of 2, even 4 inches per hour. And you mentioned that heavy snow. We could see feet of snow. In addition to that, we're looking at really gusty winds. That's going to bring some power lines down, leading some power outages, and also the chance of some strong storms that could lead to tornadoes. So we'll get to all of it. We are waking up to millions under alerts, 15 million under wind alerts, flood alerts, 35 million, 1 million under winter alerts. And again, we could see 4, 5 feet of snow in the highest elevations of the mountains. So this is what it looks like. Another strong storm moving on shore, and we're bringing that heavy rain as we speak. We're going to be talking about the storm not only today, but tomorrow and also Wednesday. So this is a few-day event. We're looking at heavy rain, a few severe storms that could bring tornadoes, some hail, some damaging winds, some heavy rain. And then this is going to move into the Intermountain West tomorrow. So the heavy rain is going to target Los Angeles and San Diego, so Southern California. Today, it's more central and northern California. Then tomorrow, we'll see that rain and snow expanding throughout the Intermountain West. And then Wednesday, still talking about the storm, the rain gradually dissipating along the West Coast, but still seeing a few showers, still seeing embedded downpours where you see those darker colors. So that's even on Wednesday. The biggest impacts, though, shifting across the Rockies. This is what radar looks like right now. Heavy rain moving throughout the state where you see those darker colors. We have a flood warning in portions of Southern California. The grounds are so saturated from all the rains they've had the past couple of months. And we're going to add to this as we go throughout the day. So we're concerned about flooding, flash flooding, mudslides, and debris flows, especially in those burn areas. Where you see these darker colors, that's corresponding to the higher amounts of rain. So generally 2 to 4 inches of rain on really soggy grounds, but we could see higher amounts locally in some spots. Concerned about a few strong storms in the Sacramento Valley. So from Chico to Sacramento, Stockton, especially where you see this yellow shading, that's where we're looking at the chance for some storms. That's the likeliest spots. Winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, a few isolated tornadoes. The best bet would be later on this evening. Now, we're also talking about some snow where you see those pinks and purples. That's where the highest amount is going to fall. So generally, we're talking about a foot, 6 inches in some spots, but look at up to 7,000 feet or higher, the highest peaks, we'll call it. That's 60 inches, corresponding to 5 feet of snow. That is the West Coast. That's the biggest story today. Otherwise, we're pretty quiet across the country. We're looking above average temperatures throughout the middle of the country. Lots of sunshine, too. The south central states looking really good with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Lots of sunshine drying out in the state of Florida, although we do have some leftover showers in some spots. And we're looking good in the Northeast as well. By Wednesday, we're looking at sunny and cold conditions in portions of the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, record highs for the South Central states. Notice all that wet weather throughout the Intermountain West, some mountain snow, some lower elevation rain. That's continuing on Wednesday. Again, letting up a bit on the West Coast, but still wet. And then by Friday, that wet weather moves to the East Coast, where we're looking at rainy and mild conditions in the Mid-Atlantic and some wet snow throughout New England. So again, the main story remains this atmospheric river. It's like one after the other, and we're going to see that again this week.
All right. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Sure. Well, now to the ongoing fallout from the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Navalny died last week in a remote penal colony in the Arctic Circle. As a vocal critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin, Navalny was serving a sentence he and his supporters saw as politically motivated. The cause of his death remains unknown. Well, this morning, there's uncertainty over the whereabouts of his body. This video here shows Navalny's mother and lawyers leaving a morgue where Navalny was believed to be kept. Well, a spokesperson for Navalny said, quote, they were not allowed to go in. One of the lawyers was literally pushed out when the staff was asked if Alexei's body was there. They did not answer. They said they were told the investigation into his death had been extended. All this comes amid new developments in the Ukraine war. Over the weekend, Russia made its biggest territorial gain in 9 months, seizing the city of Avdiivka in the eastern Donbas region. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from eastern Ukraine.
Tensions between the Biden administration and Russia remain high after the death late last week of Alexei Navalny, the most outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin, who, according to Russian officials, died suddenly at 47 years old at a penal colony in Siberia. His late wife, Yulia, just spoke out today using his old YouTube platform. Now, Navalny rose to prominence by being an anti-corruption campaigner, exposing the lavish lifestyles of Vladimir Putin and his inner circle. And on his own channel, she said that half of her heart was destroyed when Alexei Navalny died. She believes that Russia murdered him, that this was an assassination attempt coming straight from Vladimir Putin. She said that the other half of her soul wants to continue on with his work, and which is what she's doing now. She said specifically that Russians now are holding Alexei Navalny's body and refusing to hand it over to the family because they are waiting for traces of Novichok poisoning, which is a nerve agent, to disappear from his system. She didn't provide any evidence to support that claim that he was poisoned, that Novichok was used. And Russia has said repeatedly that it didn't kill Alexei Navalny, and it is still waiting for an autopsy results. But the family is now trying to reclaim that body, and the more time that passes, the more their suspicions grow. This is all tied as Ukraine is struggling to make advances on the battlefield and actually finds itself on its back foot right now. And President Biden, in addition to this dispute over Alexei Navalny, is trying to reassure Ukraine and reassure Ukraine's President Zelensky that Washington still has this country's back, even though out here in the east, and we're not far from the front lines, Ukrainian troops here don't have enough ammunition to make advances, don't have enough heavy weapons to make advances, and are now losing territory after Russian troops were resupplied by North Korea, Iran. Their domestic capacity is still quite strong. And Russian forces over the weekend reclaimed and recaptured from Ukraine the town of Avdiivka, which is a small city also out here in the east. And it was the first significant Russian advance in nearly a year.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. The news about Russia's development of a space-based nuclear weapon raised national concerns in Washington this past week, and it was a hot topic over the weekend on Meet the Press. Here's moderator Kristen Welker with some of the highlights.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Republican Congressman Mike Turner. Here's how he justified sounding the alarm on a national security threat related to a Russian anti-satellite weapon. As you know, you created a bit of a firestorm in Washington this week when you sounded the alarm about the national security threat related to a Russian anti-satellite weapon. The New York Times is now reporting that the concern is whether Russia might put a real nuclear weapon in space. Based on the intelligence you have seen, how serious is the threat?
Well, the threat is very serious. Everyone who's looked at it uses the same language that I have, that it is a very serious threat. And I'm very glad that the administration is beginning to take action. We met with Jake Sullivan, and he began to lay out a plan that hopefully would begin to address this. I understand that Secretary Blinken here at Munich met with leaders from China and India, according to how the New York Times is reporting. That certainly would be an important big step to try to avert this.
President Biden has said this is not a nuclear threat, though. Do you agree with that assessment? How should people be viewing this?
Well, I can't confirm or deny this. What I have called for is for the administration to declassify this. My concern is that this is kind of like the Chinese spy balloon, and the administration is kind of hiding, perhaps some inaction. But as this becomes more and more public, and the administration grapples with what we're dealing with, I think they are going to be taking it seriously. I think they will be taking action, and that obviously is the goal.
You can see my full interviews and a lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much.
Well, now to the Middle East, where this morning the U.S. is considering sending more weapons to Israel, despite growing calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. The news comes as Israel continues to prepare to launch an assault on the city of Rafah, despite international pushback, as more than 1 million Palestinians take refuge in the city. For more, we're joined by NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell. Kelly, good morning. So what more do we know at this point about this potential shipment?
Well, good morning, Savannah. This is part of what is really an ongoing partnership between the United States and Israel. And as you said, it comes at a time when there is renewed focus and pressure internationally for ceasefire. But at the same time, the U.S. has a long commitment to supporting Israel with military aid and advice and other things. And so this consideration of an additional package, which would include bombs and munitions helping to target the accuracy of weaponry, that would be part of this ongoing relationship. So it is not necessarily a direct reflection on the status of efforts to bring the intense fighting to a close or a pause in Gaza. This is being considered by the administration. When you have a longstanding relationship between the United States and an ally, there is not necessarily a requirement for congressional oversight with each kind of iteration of transferring weapons. And so that's where some of the flexibility comes. The sources we have here in the administration say this is under consideration. It is not yet finalized. Savannah?
Kelly, let's also talk what I just mentioned a moment ago about this potential offensive, this upcoming offensive into Rafah. Over the weekend, Netanyahu does say that this is still their intention. The White House has said the U.S. cannot support that particular ground invasion without a plan to ensure the safety of people sheltering there, which, as I said, is over 1 million. How is President Biden threading the needle of considering this new possible shipment of weapons to Israel while speaking out against this specific military plan that appears to be on the horizon?
Well, it is a complex and at this time a more fragile, nuanced relationship than the U.S. and Israel have had over the sweep of this partnership. But the president has been very clear that he is concerned about having a plan and has put pressure on Israel. And in private conversations, we understand that has been a very direct message that the U.S. is concerned about what the president at one point said publicly has been an over-the-top response from Israel in Gaza. And as we may recall, at the beginning of this conflict, shortly after the October 7th attack by Hamas inside Israel, there was an encouragement from Israel to the people of Gaza to move toward Rafah in order to have shelter and safety. So some warning, which doesn't always happen in, of course, military conflicts, for the civilian population to try to get out of the likely path of a hot combat intensive period. Well, now Rafah, the place where they went, is potentially another area for military operations. So it is very complex. There is great political pressure around the world and in the United States to have Israel measure itself, be proportional, and at the same time, the U.S. still says Israel has the right to defend itself and that Hamas attacked them and poses an ongoing threat to the people of Israel. Savannah?
Kelly, to your point about some of this strain between Biden and Netanyahu, between Israel and the U.S., I want to play a little bit of sound. This is from over the weekend. This is South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn. We'll talk on the other side.
He is not going to be public with everything he says to Netanyahu, but I know this. He feels about the way I feel when it comes to Netanyahu. His leadership has not been good for Israel.
The he there that he's referring to, of course, President Biden, and that does match NBC reporting that Biden has disparaged Netanyahu in private, but then has not significantly changed U.S. policy toward Israel, toward what's happening in Gaza. How is this sort of balancing act going?
Well, in the very modern world where people vent a lot of their views, whether it's social media or public discourse, this is a throwback to what diplomacy is typically supposed to be. And that is there is a public position of the administration and the president of support toward Israel and very careful language publicly. In private conversations, part of the purpose of those relationships privately is to be able to speak more frankly, more directly, at times in more heated terms, to try to persuade an ally like Israel or insert any other partner on the global stage when there are issues that there is tension. And that's what we're seeing play out here. James Clyburn knows the president very, very well, and his interpretation is probably something that reflects their friendship. Savannah?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell, as always, thank you.
A Minnesota community is in mourning. 2 police officers and a firefighter were shot and killed yesterday at the scene of a domestic violence call. Another officer was injured. This happened nearly 20 miles south of Minneapolis in the city of Burnsville. Last night, residents and first responders gathered for a candlelight vigil to honor the victims. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus joins us now from Burnsville with the latest. Adrian, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. You may have seen the last police officer pulling off nearly 24 hours after that shooting. And the killings of these first responders show the dangers members of law enforcement here and across the country face every time they respond to a call.
We ask for healing.
In Minnesota, grief and heartache.
We're heartbroken. We are heartbroken.
After a 911 call for a family in danger led to the deaths of 3 first responders who came to the rescue.
Medic 2 is taking 2 rigs, 2 patients. Medic 1 is taking 1. Russell County, Vice County, critical.
When officers got to the scene, the individual was barricaded. The subject opened fire on the officers in the home.
Other first responders rushing to help warned.
Medics, back off.
2 blocks away, Connor Noonan says he heard shots.
Like loud bangs, like boom, boom, boom. And then rapid fire after that, like an automatic weapon, like pop, 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 pop.
It all happened just outside Minneapolis in Burnsville. Police say they were negotiating with the shooter when he started shooting.
We later learned that there were 7 young children in the home, ranging from ages 2 to 15.
Outside the home, a SWAT vehicle riddled with bullet holes.
They know they have to give up their life sometime, and they do it anyways.
Among the victims, police officer Paul Elmstrand was 27. Matthew Ruge was also 27 and was part of the crisis negotiating team. And Adam Finseth, a firefighter and paramedic for 5 years in Burnsville, was 40.
They go out and do the job to provide us safety that we have the luxury of not having to think about many times.
To those who wear the badge or are even considering and seeing this and say, I don't know if I can do that, what do you say to them?
When it comes to public service and public safety, it's in the hearts and it's in the souls of the folks who do it.
Fellow officers also remembering the fallen.
We're hurting. Okay, we're hurting.
And the shooter died, but police haven't said how it happened. They also said inside of that home, they discovered weapons and loads of ammunition. Meanwhile, the 7 children who were trapped inside are safe this morning, and the other officer who was injured is expected to make a full recovery. Back to you guys.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.